Hello, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Submitted for Your Approval, the weekly card review show for Collective, the community-created card game where you make the cards. I am joined today by my faithful co-host, Grief.
Howdy, folks.
And my scholarly co-host, Empty Folder.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we were both doing finals world last week, so that's why we canceled. Sorry, we didn't let you guys know. It's whatever. We're back on. That's what matters. And we're joined today by a guest in the form of the guy who might as well be our third panelist, WujekMarian.
Yep.
Fourth panelist. I'm a panelist too.
Despite me being often on the show, I don't remember last time I was on the show with Empty. I think that was a while ago.
Empty, you heard him. He's gunning to be your replacement.
Oh no.
So let's get started with the accepted submissions. These are cards that are in the collection for you now to go add to your decks. Starting with Ylial, the Riftweaver is a 4-drop neutral 4/4 Undead Spectre Arcanist from Black Rift. With summon and start a turn, scout a 1-cost action and banish it. Whenever you play a non-native card, play a copy of this card's last scouted action. And when you draw your first card each turn, create an ethereal copy of it in hand. So this has a lot of really, really fun and interesting potential. I'm excited because this is one of my favorite fan-created characters. Acoustic named this character a while back, and I've been really hoping to finally get him in Black Rift. So I was excited to see he's finally made it. This iteration of everyone's favorite little shadow face lich dude, he has a couple cool things to note. First of all, he turns your first card you draw each turn ethereal, or non-native, by giving you an ethereal copy. You're rarely, if ever, going to play the original, but who cares? You had a good non-native one. And then you have a chance to fiddle around with this whole scouted action thing, which could allow you to do some interesting stuff. Notably, if you ever get lucky enough to hit a Vicious Stare, then you can do a lot of really exciting things with it. Vicious Stare becomes turn all your mana into pings, and then have a whole handful of mana to do pings next turn.
Yeah.
So if you get lucky off the scout, it has a really fun high roll. But even if you don't, there's a lot of cool stuff in the 1-cost action pool. Grief, what do you think of this card?
This is probably situationally broken, but it's fine.
I mean, Black Rift as a whole is supposed to be like casual jank, so I feel it fits. Empty, what do you think?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting one. It rotates in sort of close to rotation. It might actually even be rotation. I don't know when the exact date is. Which is really important because this is kind of busted in current standard just because there's quite a few actions with rebound or stuff that adds other actions to your hand. And this is pretty nuts if you get one of them because they just loop off themselves. The other thing that I think is a bit iffy about this card is like just how bad the choose windows can get in like prototypes. I'm interested to hear what other people think, if it's too much or not. I kind of thought that it was stepping over the line, but like Spikework and Wujek said, or not Wujek, Acoustic were like, no, it's not that bad. So I'm interested to hear what people think about that.
Well, you only have the one choose window at the start of the turn, right?
Every time you play a non-native card, if you cast an action that has a choose window, which is most of them, you'll have to go through a choose window.
Yeah.
Possibly 2, since the leap got reverted and it turned into a 1-cost, so you can get that off there.
I see. Wujek, what do you think of this?
What does particular Vicious Stare and Plasma Splish is that both of them will not see the same standard ever.
Yeah.
Both Splish and Stare rotate before Ylial will actually enter standard, so we don't really have to worry about that interaction. That being said, there's still some potentially very strong shenanigans you can do with it. Ring the Bell comes to mind, of course, in Legacy also, because that card will also not see the same standard as Ylial. And most native one-cost actions that just create stuff in hand will probably be insane value generators with this card. But
Yeah.
in the end, we are talking about a 4/4 with no protection.
Yeah.
And 4 HP engines at 4 with no protection tend to not exactly be the scariest most of the time. There are a few
Yeah.
exceptions, of course. I mean, we have had our Tempests and shit, but most of the time they can be removed. Though with the removal suit, of course, going up in mana cost,
Mhm.
and with this card in particular, dodging the free attack threshold for horrific hatching, it is definitely more durable than a lot of our other engines. So if anything, I expect there maybe be a niche fun deck. It's no Heretic of the Citadel. That's what I'm saying, basically.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing is this will be very card pool dependent. We'll see what sort of meta we develop for the standard folks. We'll see what sort of meta we develop after rotation, and then for the legacy folks and the single player folks, there's already a lot of fun shenanigans you can do with this. So I'm just really, really glad to see this end, and I know this has been a long, long time coming. We worked on this quite a bit. The lens of the eternal. What?
I think you need to turn up your audio a little bit, Wujek.
Yeah. The Lens of the Eternal is a
You wanna know a fun fact? It's already turned up all the way.
is a 2-drop strength 3/1 Wax Golem Horror from Lux. With when you play a card that targets this, shuffle a Char in the top 5 cards of your deck, and entomb scour equal to this card's attack or unit's attack. So Char, for those of you who don't remember, this is now the Lux Char, which does the same thing as the other Char. Draws a card when banished from your when played or banished from your deck, deal 2 damage to your opponent. So yeah, we're seeing Chars in Lux now. That's exciting. Grief, what did you have to say about this card?
It's Char support. It creates Chars, it scours them away. It technically is a pretty decent-ish beater for more target support effects, but I don't know how well they play with Chars, funny enough. To the point where I'm asking myself, in this case, are Chars actually more used as 2-cost cards, or are they actually scoured away or banished away?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably more split between, yeah, I want to have my target meta stuff, but I occasionally splash the odd Char card in here. That helps me a bit, but yeah, I'm currently not seeing it in the card pool how this is functional or useful in standard.
Yeah.
Moving forward post rotation.
Yeah, I think this is a lot of stuff on a rare for a particular deck that I just don't really know, so I can't really comment on. Empty, what are you thinking about this?
Yeah, so the reason I like this card is because it's like a bridge between 2 different archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
Like Char and Target Matters aren't really decks that like work together. Like they don't have any cards that work well with both of the different decks, and that's what this is. It's an attempt to make sort of a Char and Target Matters deck where you're doing a hybrid of both of them, which is really cool. I wish we had more stuff like that in the game. As it stands, I think it's a bit weak, honestly, just off the fact that it only starts with 1 HP. So it's really easy to get pinged down. I guess we'll have like less pings than standard, but stuff like Tancat is still going to exist. So it's pretty easy to take care of. I'd love to see like more cards that are the sort of bridge between archetypes.
Yeah, I do think that much is really cool. The one thing about it is it was very cleverly an entomb. So like if you do ping it down, you still get potentially some reward off of it.
You still get some scour.
Running. Wujek, what do you think?
The Char card that you run in Chars. The deck doesn't have many 2-drops, you just run it because you kind of have to. It's gonna get targeted maybe at most once in a game, because you don't really have the tools to target it, and in the end it's probably just gonna be a 2-mana free one that scours 3 on an entomb, which is actually not half bad.
Okay.
With proper support, could be cool engine. Right now, don't see it.
Okay, Blutengel, the Cauldron is a 4-drop neutral 2/5 robot golem horror from Mortstall, Realm of the Dead Things. With ambush and your units that share a tribe with this cost 2 less and have entrance. This gets -2/-2 and deals 2 damage to you. So this is for the downside DC thing. What I really liked about this is it reminds me of a card in MTG. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a black card that does this whole negative. I think it's
Heartless
negative
summoning.
Yeah, it's kind of a heartless summoning type thing. But it does have that added deal damage to you thing, which is actually useful in the pain deck. And so this gives you a lot of interesting potential things you could do with it. It seems very versatile for robots, golems, and horrors. So it's got that whole tribal component as well. MT, what do you think of this?
I think it's not great in standard right now. I don't know what you really do with it. It's really difficult to actually get units that both live and like don't kill you by comboing off, since it deals so much damage to you.
Yeah.
You're definitely looking to abuse like entrance triggers or on play triggers for something, but I can't think of anything that's going to be in standard when this gets in that'll work with.
Yeah, so this is sort of going to be a build around where we need to actually make cards around it. I can see that. It is a very fun concept though, and I'd kind of like to see how it works out, but I'm not too familiar with the Mortstall card pool. There's just so many cards in there. Wujek, what do you think of this?
So we could think about abusing the entrance to. Oh wait, actually, difficult. I just now actually realized the difficult was changed. Oh, that's actually. No, it doesn't. Never mind. Okay, yeah, cost less. So we could look at abusing it by triggering it multiple times, or we could just look at this as a discount for your high ends. And this card currently allows you to go up on these nuts on turn 5 instead of turn 7, which potentially would allow you to OTK on turn 6 instead of turn 8. If this sticks. I think that's right now its main use. Obviously, there's some shenanigans you can do with this. Probably like if you're feeling really spicy, you could run the prototype pain deck and KM or something, and I don't know what you do with that, but congrats.
What was that card you're saying? Go from 7 to 5?
Gop, Will of the World.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's one card that y'all horribly misread.
Empty misread it. I knew what it does. I didn't understand
it was
empty.
I think it was just me.
The templating of Garb was kind of horrid.
I got it. It was totally clear to me. Grief, what do you think of this?
First of all, let's tackle naming and pronunciation.
Okay, I figured that was why you were cringing over there. How do I say it?
But the thing is, you even got me to a pronunciation of this card that I didn't had in mind, but actually is fair and all. Funny enough, I first of all saw this as Blutengel. I didn't saw the N, which is Blood Leech. But Blutengel. Blutengel is Blood Angel, but what you pronounced was Blutengel. Blutengel is also a word, or technically a combination of 2 words of gluten, bleed, and gel, gel.
Oh, that's funny.
Which does fit kind of properly, because this is a dude that munched too much on honeypot and brew. He's the basically weaker and more interactable version of honeypot, being a heartless summoning on a stick. And this card will only going forward will be used for abusing either FTKs
Oh, you're cutting out, Grief.
shenanigans, because of one specific. Sorry, what?
You were cutting out a bit. You're good. Keep going.
Because of one specific interaction, this dude can technically circumvent the Rule 13 cap.
Yeah.
So just let that sink in when it comes to loops and how you can probably do extremely degenerate shit with Blutengel moving forward.
I mean, when that comes,
I'm just wondering how many vampires from Mortstall also have robot, golem, or horror on them, and life bond.
Golem, not many.
Oh.
Horror, none. Robot, like half. Oh, this is
Okay.
actually really stinky with Rosa in it. Huh.
But let's move on.
Yeah.
I was gonna just mention that, like, in one loop that comes to mind is in Legacy with Necromancer.
Yeah.
Obviously, Necromancer doesn't have the tribal, but I mean, with the shapeshift era, it's not too difficult to give it.
Yeah.
The all-in like pain strategy with this actually looks really fun. I might have to try that out.
I accidentally skipped over a card. So Wicked Fiend is a 2-drop strength 3/3 demon from nowhere in particular with overrun, agile, and summon destroy a friendly unit if you can't destroy this. So it's a 3/3 overrun agile for anyone who decided that we were gonna run Ring the Bell today, but after rotation, what is this card gonna be? Wujek, I'll let you talk about it first.
I don't know what you want to say. It's basically it's Hungry Dragon coming back at those types of designs. It's a beat stick for self sack. There's not much else to it.
Grief, this was actually your pick. What did you have to say about it?
So second beat stick, it's just pretty much a decent filler for these kinds of decks. It probably will trigger the odd entomb that you can set up turn 1, turn 2, depending on when you draw into it. Haldum will probably be very glad to see that if he returns to a self-sack or self-destroy or deck archetype. But yeah, this is just nice filler post-rotation.
Yeah.
A solid unit.
MT, what do you think of this?
I mean, I just agree with what's been said. I'm glad we have another effect like Hungry Dragon. I like playing that card, and I like playing this one too. It seems interesting to get self-sack back in the meta.
Okay.
Actually, I guess one thing that I will say is self-sack right now seems to have a issue that is still not being addressed, and that is too many payoffs, not enough ways to actually get those payoffs.
Yeah.
Right now, and in fact for the last 6 months, or actually just in general before rotation even started, the only real token generator that we can use for sacks is not Chicken Tower, Gathering Tree. That's the name. I guess we got Sergeant Tenders now as well, but that is still very disproportional compared to how many things we have that require you to sacrifice units. And we don't have any glowstone mine or anything like that.
I know, it's incredible. Self-sack just never recovered from losing glowstone mine.
So there's a prompt for would-be designers.
I spoke the truth, but they didn't listen.
OkieDokie then. Pest to the West at this is the active submissions. These are available for you to vote on the subreddit right now. Pest to the West at 13 votes is a 1-drop spirit 2/1 insect gunslinger from Karapak. With Entomb, create 2 silenced copies of this in hand. So welcome Spike to the I have designed 2 realms that have at least 1 card in the game club. Karapak is howdier but with insects and a bigger focus on things like tokens. Overall, I think this is interesting. I really love the flavor of this one. So it creates the 2 silenced copies of this in hand, and then the flavor evokes this very common trope of Wild West movies of, well, you decided to go kill this one outlaw, and now his brother or whatever is going to round up a posse and come after you. And I thought that was just really, really cool how he managed to isolate this common trope into one little story. But other than that, it's just a really, really solid 1-drop that also gives you good 1-drop fodder. I know Karapak is going to be token focused, and so this will have some interesting synergies with some non-native stuff in Spirit, which is currently not the affinity that has the non-native, or most Black Rift cards themselves are neutral. So this will open up a potential to see some really cool spirit non-native decks. Grief, what do you think of this?
I think it's just a neat little 1-drop. Feels your hand, can probably do some shenanigans, depending on what Insect Gunslingers or whatever will be the direction or the direction of the realm in general. Don't have an idea, don't have a clue. Will just let myself be surprised. It's neat.
Yeah. MT, what do you think of this?
It's a little bit strange that we have 2 Western realms being developed at the same time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have no idea what the designers are like going for with each of their realms. So, I mean, hopefully they can differentiate each other.
Well, so Howdier is more of just a flavor forward Wild West thing. I don't know how active Goken's even is on it. Carapac is going to be specifically insects.
All right. But yeah, this is a totally fine design. I liked having this for like Bullock and other aggro decks where they can like have a way to stay in the game a bit longer, since this provides some extra fuel.
Yeah. Wujek, what do you think of this?
Empty, how is it possible that you mentioned aggro decks and you didn't even say the word food in there? This is such a good food card. Come on, man.
How are you
I
going to
thought you
get
were
it to
the
die
food
though?
lady.
Food doesn't, the thing is, food hasn't recovered from Bloodletter yet. You can't sack anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Vault. And the Vault is good with Egg.
Not a food player. Not
Yeah.
my discussion.
So, Wujek, you have any other comments?
Not really. I mean, that's about it.
So yeah. Man, I skipped one of my own picks. I am not on top of it today. I'll figure something.
It is kind of funny that food is going to be better post-rotation because a lot of food is rotating out, so you can actually rely on Scavenger getting good food.
So like every food deck post-rotation ever.
The Doomwalker Raider is a 1-drop mind 1/2 Phaeowyn for Mirage. With the first time this deals damage each turn, repeat that damage. So this had like 10 votes last week, and it has like 0 votes now. What I thought was most interesting about this is I think, personally, I believe this is like way over curve, because this is most of the time a 2/2, and if you buff it even a little bit, this thing has double strike. But this card is Fencing Ace, one of my favorite cards from MTG, my favorite little white 1-drops. So I like it. I'm excited about it. What can we do to get this card some more votes? Does it need to be a 2-drop? I think it might. I don't know. Empty, what do you think of this?
I mean, so repost curse is one thing, but
Yeah.
I think the Ashgurdy rework may have also had something to do with it, because this is 2 XP now if it hits, guaranteed. Whereas before you need to hit with something else too to actually get your proc, which makes it slightly different. I'm a bit iffy on the balance. I don't really think that 1 mana 2/2, like we can't go any further than that, because I think we already basically have. We just haven't, we don't have anything that goes further than that just directly on stats. We just have stuff that's better than that regardless, like Glory Chaser. That card's like already much better than a 1 mana 2/2, like 90% of the time. It's just not better up front.
But I
So,
think this
yeah.
is like a 1 mana 2/2 100% of the time, and then you can also do stuff on top of it.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
I don't think 1 mana 2/2 is like the line we cannot cross.
Yeah, okay. And so, Wujek, what do you think of this?
Good to 1-drop for 1 attack. It's definitely a good card. It's definitely a good Ashgurdy card. It works. It's a good 1-drop. And it would definitely help Dunewalker, since after rotation they're actually losing a fair amount of 1-drops that the deck used to run. Climber's gone, Rogue's gone. Of course, the Ring the Bell, the Boogeyman is gone.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Also, I mean, cute Ylial synergy, of course.
Yeah, I think Dunewalkers are one of the most resilient archetypes in all of Collective. Correct me if I'm wrong. That if they manage to establish a presence after this rotation, they will have had the most like unique standards where they were a present deck. And so just big congrats to VM Nunes for pulling that off. Grief, what do you think of this?
I would actually argue that's undead.
Probably.
But undead are a very generic tribal.
Well,
Okay.
the thing is though, undead weren't really a thing in Alpha, funny enough.
Yeah.
Neither
Well,
were
and
Doomwalkers,
I think
were they?
undead haven't been one deck. I think undead have been a couple slightly different decks, right?
Also, like, what I find actually kind of neat is that I low-key think with Dunewalkers, they're even starting to emerge like different types of Dunewalker decks you can play.
Exactly.
I've been experimenting with Dunewalker control recently, and it's not good. It's not better than like regular mind control, but it exists and it works. Like sticking a Ylial on 3 into Ari on 4 and just pinging shit for 4 damage is not a bad strategy. It works.
Yeah.
I think you might actually be able to run Ashgardy control after the rework because you get a bunch of free card draw.
Maybe. And also like Wasteland Scorpion, by the way, super underrated card. Turns out that 3 mana 1/4 Deadly Word is absolutely insane.
Grief, what do you think of this?
Love it. It's basically back to the roots of, yeah, we are doing little shitters with 1 attack, higher HP value, and trying to hit face as much and quickly as possible. Back to fair win 1 attack matters burn again. I love it. Don't see why this actually got nuked to 0 boots compared to last week.
Yeah.
Even with the Ashgardy buff in terms of passive XP gain.
It's the only thing that's changed, so I'm gotta assume that's what it is.
Clearly it was Pedro and the salts.
Okay, Wispo Roboto at 1 is a 1-drop neutral 1/1 Wisp Robot from Chromosome. With entrance, choose up to 3 hues, pay 1 mana for each, and activate their effects. This is about where I'm saying, oh, we're seeing a continuation of what I have established was the golden standard for Wisp card, and then I read the cards, and then I got sad. The blue bolt hue gives units in your hands +1/+1. The navy nail hue gives draw a unit, and the sapphire screw hue creates 2 prototypes in hand. They are wisps. So the weird thing about this one compared to the other sapphire, the red one, was the angel fairy vampire thing became this interesting customizable unit. Here, I think all of the answers to it are really, really straightforward, and it doesn't really feel nearly as versatile. I know exactly what I want to do with this. I want to play this on turn 4 and get off all 4 modes, or maybe not the draw unit mode. Depends on where I'm sitting. I just feel like this
we have very different ways of looking at this card then, buddy. I would just say that straight up.
Well, it's sitting at 0, so there's probably a lot I didn't think about it. I just think that compared to the other one, this one is just so much less interesting. And so that's the reason it didn't really compel me, because I feel like you set up expectations and then denied them. Wujek, what do you think about this card?
So if I remember correctly, the flyer, wasn't that literally just a unit that was always under curve, but came with like slight versatility in what tribes you can pick and stat buffs, I guess?
Well, yeah, but the the versatility is what made it what it was.
Is it really versatility if in the end you're just getting different flavors of French vanilla that are all under curve? This doesn't exactly have the same problem, no. Here it's basically blue bolt is the strongest effect by far, and if anything, you're probably playing this for 2 mana to get blue bolt.
Yeah.
I mean, there is Sapphire Screw. There's a 1-drop with that effect that exists in Legacy. It's called Framework. And Navy Nail, God, just run. What's it called? Doable. Of course, you can like get all 3, but like at that point, you're paying 4 mana for a 1/1 that draws a card and hand buffs your hand for +1/+1.
Yeah, Blue Bolt, I think is, yeah, I'm seeing what you're saying. Now that I'm reading the card closer, Blue Bolt is way overpowered compared to the other modes.
Also, why they are wisps? There's literally no reason for the card to say that. That is some of the most useless text I've ever seen on a card.
But why does that matter? It's flavor. It's
It
not like
matter-
it bumped it a
but
rarity, dude.
Yes, I'm about to actually talk about that. Here's the thing. I would argue that if we're talking about a common card that fills its entire text space and then has 3 other tokens attached to it, at least keep it concise. To be fair, I would argue that this card doesn't even have a reason to be modular. I actually legitimately think you could just take any of these effects and just put them on separate cards and give pretty much the same effectiveness because you're really not paying versatility here. Maybe with specifically the create 2 prototypes and the blue bolt, Navy Nail, that can just screw off. No
Ha!
pun intended.
Ha! Oh,
But
yeah, I see what you mean.
I legitimately do not see the point.
The versatility does not feel as impactful with this one. I
I
definitely agree
legitimately
with you.
think you can just make a 1-drop that says entrance, choose to create 2 prototypes or give units in your hand +1/+1
Mhm.
as its entire text. Probably would have to be a 2-drop, make it maybe a 2 mana 1/2. There you go. You have a robot card, that's perfectly fine. There's no
Yeah.
need to overcomplicate it.
Yeah, this is pretty different from the Angel. I feel like maybe if they did want to do something, I don't know about giving the units in your hand, maybe like give robots and wisps in your hand, but like if each of the modes did something for Wispo Roboto to make him not just a 1/1, that could be cool. I don't know.
That
Grief,
would
what do you
be,
think of
like,
this?
way too overly complicated.
I personally have to agree with Wujek. I don't really see why there are multiple modes on a card which you will never play for more than 2 mana. Okay, at 1, this is technically at 1 that's basically wasted potential. 2 mana, you're going for the hand buff. For 3 mana, you are either going for the prototype and the hand buff, or if you really, really, really want to draw into certain specific units and are praying to Arion Jesus to not get into another Wispo, then yeah, you might take Navy Nail. Depends on if you can actually choose the order. So you say, okay, first Navy Nail, then the hand buff, then okay. But you never use all modes.
Yeah.
This
I'm
is
seeing what you guys are saying on that.
also why so many tokens? Uncommon.
MT, what do you think about this?
I don't really have anything new. The modes just aren't really balanced around each other. There's not that much else to say. I think this is a rather clunky design. It would be better to make it a bit simpler so it could be a bit cleaner.
Mhm.
Let's just say again that this design really raises the question of if you're making a modular design, actually ask yourself the question of why is this a modular design? Cards like a Rob Traffic Guard or Purifier makes sense as like
Mhm.
options. Obviously, they're not the same as this because this you can pick all 4, you can pick 2, you can pick whatever. But my point is that there's actually versatility in those effects. That is not the case for this card.
Yeah. OkieDokie then. The Lolli-Poly is a 2-drop neutral 1/3 sweet insect from Zucros, Candyland. With partner, create a random candy. Partner, for those of you who don't remember, is when you play a card that shares a tribe with this, do this. So it's mob but tribal. So this just seems like a great staple card for the sweet deck that cares about candies being played and things being done with candies going forward. The pun is absolute top tier because it works both ways. It's super clever. The art is some of the best work I've seen come from Imzakarella. So overall, I am just I gotta agree with the flavor text of this card. This card is magnificent. Grief, what do you think of this?
I personally don't really have too much to say to that card. I like it. the only issue that I have, and it's basically a recurring issue that will probably going forward in the future, is the amount of tokens. In this case, it's kind of a necessary evil because candies aren't actually cards, so you have to actually put them into tokens, so you cannot really off-reference them. Therefore, you have to always create the tokens as the visual to show your opponent or read the cards themselves. Anyone who says a card that basically does something and that's good enough is completely wrong with that statement. You have to fucking know what's on their cards and what's happening every fucking time when they happen to you. But that's a necessary evil. Let's say if you let's say if we basically ignore the keyword card, which in the future can be actually a keyword in game, so you don't have that token. We're just looking at a card where we only have to read the three different candies, or basically know what the candy pool is that we can get cards from or effects from. So outside of that, this is a perfectly fine common. It doesn't overload your opponent or yourself with too much information. So I think it's fine and can go as a pretty neat filler moving forward.
Yeah. MT, what do you think of this?
I actually really like the candy archetype, especially the fact that like a lot of it is in neutral, because it has a lot of good homes. You can run a candy target hybrid deck where you're using the candies to buff up your target-based units, or you can run like a candy Rick deck where you're using the candies to get all your XP. And both of those sound really neat. So I like this card, and I'm looking forward to see where this candy archetype goes once it gets like more cards.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what do you think of this?
I always thought to me like candies just needed ways to get more candies, and this sure is one of them. This is a recurring problem that I've had when I was trying to build decks around the Maya Chiri demo. In that deck, I reasonably have only 2 cards that I wanted to really run that generated candies, because there are 3 total and one of them is bad.
Yeah.
This is competent, obviously, because it's partner. It will probably require running some shapeshifters alongside it to actually get the effect of more consistently, because I mean, you're probably not running this with just Maya, Pinata, and Mallow Snail. I mean, you can, but that just doesn't seem worth it.
Yeah.
You can actually run them with the new Pest in the West.
Yeah.
That is true. That's in spirit.
Yeah.
I'm more thinking of mind decks, specifically with Maya, because Maya is like the direct candy support card that was buffed and still doesn't really shine because there's just not enough ways to generate candies. And yeah, specifically Candy Riptych. That deck probably loves this. Mainly because Riptych also just has a lot of very interesting synergies with candies.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, the Soul Reflection at 2 is a 1-drop neutral action from Degenesis with fast and create a copy of an ally unit, destroy it, or banish it. So this was an effort by Magneter, and I don't want to go into all the discussions in the Discord because quite a few of them ran me down to the very nub. Like I just wore out from all that. This had to do, by the way, with the Damned who we talked about last episode because we skipped a week. Without going into all the things that come into getting this card up on the subreddit and sitting where it's at, this is a card, and I like it, but it does, of course, have the thing where it more plays in like self-sack or self-banish thing, but it synergizes with anything that cares about destroying or cares about banishing, including the cards that just create copies of themselves when banished, letting you actually keep your copy. So it's cute and it's cheap and it's pretty versatile, letting you process entrances, process entombs, process banish triggers, or just get you a sack or get you a sack trigger. Empty, what do you think of this?
It's like private security guard fuel. You can use it on like entombs and stuff too, but like the Portal Way deck, or honestly that deck may just become the private security card deck, because Portal Way hype isn't that strong. But like this is really good in there because it's just more triggers to get more of your security guards. Other than that, I'm not sure what else you really run this in. There's some weird stuff you can do with copying. Like I know you could do. Actually, I don't know. I don't know what else you can run other than private security guard. I don't know what intims we have post rotation, just the ones we have in current standard. So.
What I do like is that it encourages you to think of cards that can be ran with it, though, and that's
true.
what makes it really interesting in my eyes. Wujek, what do you think of this?
Why is it destroy or banish?
So you could
Like-
process things that care about banishing them.
Yeah.
Like destroy a unit, sure. Banish a unit, sure. Destroy and banish. Yeah, that also works. Destroy or banish?
For
Why?
cards in collective, to get it voted in, it needs to work in a lot of different decks and be versatile. I think this is the exact wording out. I mean, it is create to choose window,
I
which is
suppose
annoying.
it does allow private security guard synergies,
Yes.
which, to be fair, is probably the main use of the card right now.
See?
But I don't know, it just seems like additional junk for no real reason.
I like it. Greed, what do you
Wujek,
think of
how
this?
dare you? How dare you? I told you would actually like that because it technically follows the design philosophy of Door to a Familiar Place, where technically the card has a specific home, but still leaves itself open for random bullshit jank that maybe prop up in the future. Private Security Guard is technically something like that. But also Green Man, when you go for the destruction variant of that. Maybe an undead thing where you said, okay, cool, I need technically that unit in my graveyard. Let's just hit it up, kill version of it, and later on get the copy back from my graveyard or get an effect off because it died. And so on and so forth. And same goes for the banish part. Maybe there will be some bullshit that you can pull off with banishing beside Private Security Guard. But technically, Private Security Guard is our temporal bot from Infinity Wars, which was an entire deck that basically just banished the bot that put more copies of banished bots into play. So why not? This is cute. I like this, as I said, Door to a familiar place design, where it is so open and out there that, yeah, okay, there is a use, and something maybe down the line. Probably one of the best unique designs this week.
Yeah.
God, thinking about private security guard makes me mold, I swear to God. It's very telling when like the clone of private security guard that's on the subreddit right now just makes a dinky 1-drop on banish instead of a copy of itself.
Yeah. Private Security Guard may need to be nerfed at some point, but I've heard the deck is kind of a meme right now, so
It's actually
think
not.
it's
It's actually
fine.
not. It actually evolved into something competent.
Wow.
I hate it. I hate it, and it's mostly a 1-card deck around to the private security guard, and that's like the main way it actually pops off. But it's not like complete meme tier from what I've heard. I haven't seen it in action, but I mean, Savas says that it's a good deck, so I mean, I believe him. He plays the game more than me probably nowadays.
The Scrap Mechanics is a 1-drop mind 1/2 dwarf robot engineer from Tutela, sitting at 7 on the Reddit. When this deals damage, create a prototype in your hand. But this is the Tutelan prototype, which has 1 extra tribe. As per the convention set, when Lux Char started picking up flames, you can have 2 versions of the same token if they differ at most in tribes. So I don't know too much about prototypes. I'm basically going to be deferring expertise, but this does seem really cool. I like the when this deals damage trigger. And of course, you know, this props up one of my favorite decks, so I'm all for it. Who went first last time? Empty, go.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sure like how good of a place prototypes are going to be in. One of the very interesting things you can do with prototypes post-rotation though is portal snipe gets in. And especially in the new hero, you can run like billionaire purchase or the other one that just makes 3 prototypes and then discount them all into 0 off portal snipe. And this goes kind of awkwardly into that. It doesn't really give you enough prototypes to really make that worth it. So you're kind of running more of a like maybe a robot tribal deck instead, which isn't really a thing right now. I guess there's Knave, but I'm not even sure Knave stays in the game.
He does.
Yeah, Knave should stick around.
Knave sticks around?
None of the
Okay,
prototypes
this could be
or cards
decent there
rotate.
then.
Well, yeah, what do you think?
It's a turn 1 play for a deck whose only turn 1 play was mass production pass, which is pretty
Yeah.
telling. It's probably gonna see play just because of that, honestly.
Mm.
Everything else is an added bonus.
Grief, what do you think of this?
I want to play Armatarzan Collective. This allows me to play Armatarzan Collective. I like it. Also, by the way, plays very well into the Ash One Attack Matters plan. So this will, even at worst, will just be a filler and fail win.
It's actually true. Especially if, I mean, to be fair, Portal Snipe, that card is 100% getting nerfed to have a not less than 1 cost. Like, there's literally no way that's not happening. Otherwise, the card is just too versatile, but whatever. It's not about Portal Snipe. Yeah, I can actually see this. No one attack package. I mean, like it. Worst case scenario, it like what shits your hand with like 2 prototypes, and you can then play them for a burn with Amir on the board after you play Sands of Mirage. That's actually pretty competent, yeah. Didn't pick up
Yeah,
that one,
especially with Phelan losing like most of their 1-drops.
Hmm?
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, it's actually pretty functional.
Okie dokie then. Arion Tinymancer at 14 is a 3-drop neutral 4/2 Kobold Arcanist Artisan from nowhere in particular with Agile, can't block, and feed if it has 1 attack or HP, draw a unit with 1 attack or HP. So this is really, really great. Notably, obviously, I think the one, even though it doesn't say it because it doesn't explicitly work with it, this obviously works pretty well with 1 cost matters as well, because a lot of them tend to have 1 attack or 1 HP. Sometimes both. So this definitely works in that. It works in Feowin. It has Agiles. I guess you probably wouldn't run that. Well, it has the problem where it's a 4/2, but honestly, just being able to spam out some more of those could work. The only potential issue is it is obviously a 3-drop, so this is a food card. It's got all the little quirks that come with food coming with it.
It's not just a food card. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I mentioned some of the other things you could do with it too. And of course, since it synergizes with Ring the Bell in older formats, because Ring the Bell should be rotating out, right? Do this, have a bunch of 1-drops off Ring the Bell, just refresh yourself and get a cool new hand. Empty. I'll let you start on this one.
Yeah, so this card looks really strong. Like the body itself is honestly really good for having a pretty powerful feed effect. The question really is going to be like, how do you break this? Because there is definitely ways in Legacy. In Standard, I'm not quite as sure. But the fact that this is guaranteed to hit stuff with 1 attack or HP means you can essentially like tutor out any unit in your deck if you build your deck the right way. We don't really have any 0 costs that you could get with it right now, but hey, maybe with the Cauldron card we saw earlier today, this could be the combo card where you get this insane pain trigger playoff. And this is in neutral too, so like whatever cards you can find that work with it, you can run it there.
Yeah, so super cool, super versatile. Well, yeah, what do you think of this?
In Arcanist, this allows you to shit out a board on turn 4. because on turn 3 you play Vayne Movsky and then you play one Ghost Arcanist, draw
Oh,
Arcanist,
yes.
one Ghost Arcanist, draw Crossian, play a Crossian, draw a
How many
Crossian, play an
one-cost
Elemental, play an
Arcanists do we
Elemental,
have?
draw an Elemental, play an Elemental, draw a Crossian. He's a very good boy. I love him. He's not quite my type of kobold. My beloved kobolds are like the D&D kobolds. This guy is more like Feowini, Mirage Feowini look. Still a very good boy. Love the art. Love the effect. Such a fun lad. Get him in the game right now. I love him. My precious. Would protect him with my life. Probably gonna
almost-
break some shit. I don't care. He's too precious.
Yes, I mean, it's honestly one thing I thought, and probably a couple other people thought from the art, was I know he's clearly not a Serval Fox, but putting him in Mirage just as like a background character, a one of, I wouldn't mind, because that really seems to just vibe with his art and is just and also
Nope,
the decks he works
nope,
with.
he's a kobold. Nope. You're wrong.
You can have
Actually
a
wrong.
faction.
Stranger, you're missing the point. This is not a Feowin from Mirage. He's basically
I
a
didn't say make him a
planeswalker.
Feowin.
He's a planeswalker who's currently on Mirage, but he's not from Mirage.
Grief, what do you think of this?
This dude is a Johnny Comborn dream. I mean, holy fucking shit. Even in Legacy, when you're not going for the Arcanist route, you can probably, when you're doing janky bullshit, spit out a board of 0-cost units.
Oh yeah, no, it's very easy. You just use Fluffy Boy and Copy Saw.
Exactly. And the funniest shit ever is you can actually build a resilient board thanks to a very weird card or very weird place from way back when called Stickland.
Mhm.
Giving all your 1 HP units, which can also be 1 attack units, rebound. So you can do the next shit. You can basically build a reoccurring your deck tutoring build around, which technically starts turn 3. Or even sooner, if you're even playing the Artisan, which reduces the cost of cards in your or the cost of a single card in your hand by 1. So you can technically set up on turn 2, or already on turn 1 if you get mana boosted in a mind-centric deck with a tune or shit like that. So yeah, this dude will break shit. This dude will fill boards. He will be the most quirkiest, jankiest combo piece that you can build around, and I love it.
Yeah, so for those of you who are very update-minded, get your updates ready, because at 14 votes, this is getting in.
No.
You mean, first of all, he has to break something before.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
like, I actually gotta say,
Establish how he already breaks something.
No,
Well, the
the
Vayne
thing is, like,
Movsky combo
Really,
isn't
no.
that good. There's only
Okay.
2 units that work with it.
yeah.
there's actually more. I
There
There
believe.
is?
I mean, keep
there-
in mind that like every shapeshifter that costs 1, like both Wisp and
Oh,
Goose
Wisp.
also work with it. That adds up to a total of 12. Any
Yeah.
1-cost elementals that we have, which I believe we have a few, that probably adds up to a total of like 18. Because keep in
There's-
mind, like
There's
these
not that many
or
elementals. I think there's just Snow Bear.
I mean, in this
Well, that's already
specific
15 cards though.
Yeah.
case, it is funny. In this specific case, the shape-shifting 1/2 Wisp is a benefit for it.
I mean, yeah, I said it. I said it when the update was coming out. 1/2 Wisp, like just having a 1-mana 1/2 as shapeshift can be extremely
It's
good for certain
completely
decks.
fine. It's completely fine, strong enough, and works. And
Yeah.
here it's also a
This-
combo piece.
Here is literally an exactly a deck that would want to run it because it has that synergy.
Yeah.
Okay, the Monument to Hubris, sitting at 0, is a 9-drop neutral 9/9 elemental fish horror from Gemmel with agile, unblockable, and when the enemy plays a card targeting an ally unit, play one of the top 5 cards of your deck. So this is the 8+ cost neutral fish thingy stuff going on in Gemmel. I think it's funny that it's called a Monument to Hubris and it's sitting at 0 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry,
Yeah.
Acoustic. That's just funny.
The irony.
So the card has some interesting stuff where it does have a little bit of defense built in, and it could let you play a big thing off if someone tries to interact with it. Why is this not doing so well? Wujek, I'll let you start.
I actually have a question to you all. Or more like a task. Because this is a question I've asked a few times already in a VC and around places, and I have not really been convinced. Convince me that this card isn't utter garbage.
Oh, I was hoping you were the one to do that. I thought you were gonna come out swinging with some.
No, I
Oh,
think
look
it's
at this
utter
in Gap.
garbage. Oh no, I think this card is
This
absolutely
is-
awful because if you're playing Gap, you can just go for the Goldie OTK, and that's like infinitely better. I mean, you can go for the variant of Monument to Hubris, but like, what would you? I mean, I guess it's a big fish in Gap, sure. You can do that. You can get a big board of agile and blockable fish and like win the game that way.
It protects your Goldie if they have removal.
True. To be fair, I feel like this is literally only playable in Gap, and even then it's maybe like a 2-off or a 1-off. Just because you don't have other fish. You're never playing this for 9 mana.
No.
Literally never.
I mean, that's
this
a
is
given.
utter garbage at 9 mana.
So could we pull it earlier on the curve? I know the whole 8+ cost fish, whatever, but let's talk about it.
Technically, this could be a 7/7 with 7, but to get back to the point of why this is not utter garbage, it is technically just a protection piece that you put on top of your combo or try to utilize a deck around it. The problem is the deck around it doesn't exist quite now because other options are better. It's technically a plan B, plan B Baguska. But yeah, the thing is with this kind of card, it's probably a very cool card in limited modes like Cube, where you put that down and you're set, because this is your game-winning card. Your opponent will never really get rid of the board that you establish post dropping that dude. And yeah, in Constructor, it's probably just a guard target, and that's fine. But yeah, in terms of buffing the card, reducing the stats all around by 2.
Empty, what do
Doesn't
you
make or
think?
break the card.
Yeah, so I mean, I think this is only playable in Gap, and to hear from like the creator of Gap that this kind of sucks even there makes me really think this doesn't have a home, and it needs,
I mean,
like
it
Grief
doesn't
said.
suck. It doesn't suck. It is 9 damage from Goldie.
Yeah, okay. So it has a home. It's 9 damage.
It's 9 damage.
But
Which
yeah,
might have-
I agree with Grief. I think this could be scaled down, so maybe it could be played somewhere other than Yap too.
Which, to be fair, 9 damage from Goldie is actually on the higher end, which you can do
Yeah.
in standard, because you can either do 12 damage with Goldie, or the next step down is 9 with Gop himself. And I mean, in theory, you can do the 30 damage Goldie in single shot because of Funny Devouring Leviathan, but I don't think using it as protection though. Like that's silly. That's a silly person thing to say.
Okay.
Unless you're playing as some like very heavy control deck, but
It's technically it's what it does.
like
It's
again, I
probably
think it will be like 1 or
essentially.
2 off, and it
As
will
I
probably...
said,
Actually, the problem with running as 1 or 2 off is that then it screws with your draws. Because bulky right now in that deck is very interesting in that you can kind of mess with what it draws, but whatever, that's getting sidetracked.
Yeah. Despair and Misery is at 0 votes, is a 2-drop spirit action from nowhere in particular with discard up to 3 cards, deal 3 damage to a unit for each card discarded, and slay, take 3 damage. Interesting little abstract arts. Interesting flavor because, well, so this seems to work best in like Pain, but it's in the wrong color. This could work as just really, really good removal, but I think it's way too good because there's so many easy ways to just, oh, I'm going to generate a bunch of tokens. Oh, I'm going to discard my tokens. Oh, hey, look, 9 damage. I don't know. Grief, what do you think of this?
Tokens breaks this, but on the other hand, this is kind of bunkers on Legacy as well, considering that we have a lot of fucking discard payoffs. So this, we're looking at a quote-unquote fair version of pre-nerf Matchstick. And if we're talking about a fair version of pre-nerf Matchstick, then this card is kind of definitely in the wrong in the wrong hand of things. Especially since, okay, yeah, we're looking at a 2 mana, deal 9 damage to a singular unit, deal 6 damage to one and 3 to the other, or wipe a board with 3 damage, and the only thing that you're basically eating is a necking going neck 4 and eating 9 damage at worst, and going neck 4 and eating 3 damage at best when it comes to fully utilizing your discard. And if you fully utilize the discard with the benefits, then this card is kind of freaking bonkers good, even in Legacy, to the point where I have to probably consider putting it on our restricted list.
Yeah. Empty, what do you think of this?
Yeah, this card is nuts, but I like the design. The idea of like paying like an absolutely huge cost, like dumping a whole ton of cards and just tanking a bunch of damage to remove some units, like that's pretty appealing. That's a cool design. But this really needs to go into the card labs or something and get some balance tweaks, because this version of it is nuts.
It's the second version of it. The first version could even hit face. Oh my! Whoa!
I actually have a very, very bold proposal. Hear me out on this. Okay. From Black Rift, and you can only discard native cards.
I think it'd still be too strong.
Really?
It's really easy to just have like some rebound specters or something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cards that benefit from being discarded.
I can see where you're going with that.
Just like trying to put a fringe clause on it that basically doesn't matter in the end. Just puts it out of like 3 other decks.
Well, it puts it in it. Well, yeah, it takes it out of a couple decks, which is what I thought would be. Yeah, I don't know.
Basically, it takes it out of 3 decks from 15 to 18.
Let me put it this way: I made a native token, hook token, off to the side a year ago, and I've wanted to use it. Dang it!
Make better cards. 2 mana and deal 9 damage. Let's move on.
Sorry,
no, I'm sorry, but 2 mana, deal 9 damage. Let's move on. Everything has already been said.
Okay.
Take this. In fact, actually, looking at the time, I am sorry, but I'll be leaving you now, which is quite funny because we were just getting to my picks.
Oh no! Oh, we should have changed up the order.
So you know what? You'll have to speculate on why I picked every single card. Make
That
your
was
guesses.
fun.
That's a game
Anyways,
for you.
Nice seeing you, Wujek. Have a nice
sorry.
day.
Yeah, it just shit came up, man.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. See you.
See you.
See you, Wujek.
Okay, the Hrillian Migration is a 0-drop neutral legend from Black Rift with innate, and once you spend 15 mana on non-native cards, create the Grand Scavenger in hand. The Grand Scavenger is a 5-drop neutral 7/7 monkey artisan with, for the rest of the game, when you play your first non-native card each turn, play a copy of it. And this is sitting at 10. So I really, really like this. First of all, the effect stacks. So if you have means to do like a little bit, just splash in a little bit of summon re-triggering, you can get a lot of cool value out of this. But it still does require a lot of cool, like, you got to play a lot of cards to it, and it can pay really cool dividends. Obviously, people know why I'm excited about this. I don't really need to get too much into it. What do you think about this, Grief?
I'm very not excited about it. It's not because of its monkeys or because it's Black Rift. It's just I just think the card is boring. No extent, sorry. That's it. I know, and I know why specific things don't really work on this regarding the payoff is kind of bugged, and the accounting for cost reduced actions is actually bugged on this card, where it actually takes the original cost of the action into account instead of the reduced one. But that's besides the point. I really find this card boring. It's a quirky little thing that you can do with the new hero, which creates reduced copies of cards on the bottom of your deck, and you can spin them to reduce the cards of the cost of this, while also going into a more cascadey plan. This is all fine and dandy, and you can do this with other token creating cards. But at the end of the day, why do I want to play this?
So you think the build is okay, with the payoffs bad?
And the thing is, I find the entire playstyle rather boring.
No,
the card is fine, totally. I just find it boring.
I personally thought, and I pitched this might be too much, but I thought it doesn't need to restrict to first. But that's my oh, but I guess it does play. But I don't know. Empty, what do you think of this?
Yeah, that is kind of the problem. Like play wouldn't actually like cause any breaks, because force play doesn't cause trigger. Exactly. It would be really confusing for new players though, because it sounds like it loops. As for the card itself, I think it's kind of bad. One of the problems is that a lot of the non-native like payoff cards and synergy cards reduce the cost of things.
Yeah.
Which is just sort of anti-synergy. Assuming, of course, it gets bug fixed, which it needs to. But honestly, like, I'd be fine if it gets in. It's not really a card for me anyway, and it's not going to really make any impact on standard.
Yeah.
So if people want to mess around and have fun with this, go for it.
I personally, I don't know. I think a little bit turning up the power dial on it wouldn't be totally unwarranted. I think that would actually be really good for it. But I really do like, I just like the seeing more love for my realm, obviously. So I'm a little biased. I'm more than a little biased, but this is like known. This is like, if you watched the show before, just know Stranger's biased. It's sitting at 10, so maybe maybe
have you seen the voting counts on most of our picks? This is probably getting in.
Yeah.
One thing before we go, the Grand Scavenger isn't a once per game effect. So if you have summon retriggers, you can.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Oh, you did? I didn't even. I must have not been paying attention. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you could invoking chant it or something like that. Just run a couple invoking chants just in case.
Or run Ylial and scout them.
Urgal, the Hand of Hate, is a 9, sitting at 10 on the subreddit. Is a 9-drop spirit, 6/9. Nice. Titan Horror from HPL with ambush, fast ward, summon, start a turn, draw an action, it costs 5 less. So, first of all, an absolutely glorious work of art from Spike with the help of some VQ GAN shenanigans. I just love the whole idea here. Although, of course, this is a very careful build around, because this basically becomes like big actions Titans. And so them playing into the whole action synergy has been really cool, but I don't know exactly how this build would work out. MT, what do you think of it?
It feels kind of too similar to Sky Commander Per. Like when that first came out, this is really, really close. The big difference, of course, is that this, you don't get to choose the action, you have to build around it, which makes it slightly more interesting. But like, I don't know how many people remember the Sky Commander Per days. That was not exactly an enjoyable meta. So I kind of don't want to like upvote a design that can go to a really similar place. Like, it's pretty easy if we get like a few fog effects or something for this to just completely break.
Hmm.
And man, it has ward too, so it's really hard to deal with. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think it's a nice finisher. Although it does require some really, really careful building choices. Grief, what do you think?
Read the type line again.
Titan and horror?
What is Gab's type line?
Ooh.
Yeah.
This thing is a horror. It shares a type line with Gab, meaning that you can actually, when you establish a Gab combo, play this, fill your hand again, get to the hand count again that Gab has. Now you can play the next card. By the way, the action that you just drew is probably an action that refills your hand, allows you to, for more shenanigans, and basically is a combo extender. This is, first of all, very cool when it comes to Gab in the context of an HPL horror deck, where you can try to build off of a cascading horror deck, which we don't really have too much of, and that's why this Urgal card is one of the better supports for that kind of deck. But as I said, this is technically a combo extender for Gab to get you there where you want to. I don't the thing is, I think Door to a Familiar Place allows you then to get to this thing, draw the card, draw Door to a Familiar Place, play Door to a Familiar Place or a card first, and if play another card that is reduced by a Gab, play Door to a Familiar Face, draw cards again, then probably trigger some on-draw effects, etc. This can be extremely funny if you pull that off. And it's fast, so it doesn't actually break your combo cycle.
Yeah, this has some interesting potential. I personally, I don't know. I just have to see it to believe it. But and our final pick is the generous Frogfran, sitting at 0 votes. It is a 5-drop strength 8/6 Frog Arcanist from nowhere in particular. With Ward, Leap, and Summon, force your opponent to play an action from your hand or destroy this. So it references like Marshall and the Wizard, and it seems like it should be from Brit and Fivia. And there's
the wording is atrocious and actually doesn't work as according to the wording from
the wording is, yeah, the wording doesn't do what you think it does. And well, I still don't know what it does, because it seems like what that would end up doing was, because your opponent doesn't actually, the opponent gets the advantage of your card. Empty, what do you think of this design?
Okay, so I'm just gonna try and look at this like how I think it works. How I think it works is you play this, your opponent looks at the actions in your hands and plays one. And if they can't, then this gets destroyed. Because that makes some amount of sense.
But does your opponent play it as your opponent, or does you? I guess it would have to be
Force your
plays it
opponent
as your
to play an action. So they get.
By the way, I know why Wujek picked that card, because the wording is so freaking atrocious. Because it actually makes the card 2,000 times worse. Sorry.
Okay, so under the interpretation, your opponent gets the benefit of the action, which is the thing that makes the most sense. Is this a good card?
I mean, honestly, that's a pretty interesting design. You can like get your hand into a state where you only have one action, and it's a disadvantage if your opponent plays it. And then you play this and you get an overcurve unit, and you force your opponent to play something like that disadvantages them. Like, that's pretty cool. The thing is, like, this desperately needs a warning update.
Please never capitalize the your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, my download started with the your, and then I read the wording of the card. And I was actually kind of depressed that I couldn't actually downvote it twice.
Anyways, so Grief. Now knowing how it works, do
Yeah,
you see
assume
any
the
interesting
word
combos or
we've gone
synergies?
over the wording. That's bad. Assume the wording is fixed. What do you think about it now?
Get this shit out of here. Can we please end the episode? I don't
I don't know what combos with it off the top of my head. I think that it's interesting, but a combination of like the flavor falling flat as the flat fall frog, because like where's the realm? Isn't it supposed to be Brit Amphibia? And then
I
the
think
other
if the
stuff.
realm and the wording was fixed, it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird how you can just make a couple simple mistakes and end up turning off the really casual, goofy audience and the real serious audience at the same time, just by not like having a second set of eyes on it. So go, Chris. All due respect. Just gotta look more careful. Okay, stopping the share so Grief doesn't have to look at the card anymore. This was a fun week. It was nice having Wujek on. It was sad he had to leave early. Thank you guys both for being back on with me. Always great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Always nice to be here.
Yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe pick a new adjective for Empty. Put a comment in there. Just he needs a different adjective every week, or else we can't do the show. And keep on playing collective and keep on voting on cards. Bye.